Rain drums against the window of Chloe's apartment, a cramped room with peeling walls and a single bulb flickering overhead. She stands by the sink, her hands gripping the edge, staring at the note that threatens everything. $30,000, it reads, due in 48 hours, or Ben pays with his life. Her brother sits on a thin mattress in the corner, his knees pulled tight, his voice barely a whisper. I didn't mean for this, Chloe, I swear. She looks at him, 15 and lost, his eyes red from guilt. Inside, she's unraveling. He's all I have, she thinks. 3 years since Mom's gone, and I've carried us through every scrape. But this is too big. Ben borrowed $10,000 from a loan shark, lured by a scam that promised easy money, and now the interest has turned it into a debt that could bury them both. Chloe kneels beside him, her hand on his shoulder. We'll fix it, she says, forcing calm into her words, but her mind screams, how? I pour coffee for pennies, scrape tips to buy bread. 30,000 is a dream I can't touch. She's tired, her body aching from endless shifts, her soul worn thin from holding them together. You're my little brother, she tells him, her voice soft. I'll always protect you. He looks up, desperate. You shouldn't have to. The words sting, and she thinks, he's right, I shouldn't. But love doesn't care about should. She stands, splashing water on her face, trying to drown the panic. There's no bank, no help, just her against a clock that won't stop. Across the city, Adam sits in his penthouse office, the rain a steady hum against the glass. The space is cold, all sharp edges and silence, a mirror of the man he's become. He's 33, a billionaire who clawed his way up, his life a series of wins with no warmth. I don't need warmth, he tells himself, staring at the city below. I've got power, control, love's a lie for fools. But tonight, his chest feels tight, an ache he can't name. He picks up his whiskey, sets it down untouched, his fingers restless. He's never let anyone in, never felt the pull of another soul, and he's fine with that. Or so he thought. A text from Ryan lights up his phone, words about an auction, a secret night for men like him. Something different, Ryan wrote. Adam's lips twitch. Different. My life's a machine, every gear in place. Maybe I need a jolt. Chloe paces her small room, her mind spinning. She's begged for loans, pleaded with her boss, but the answers are always no. Then she stops, her breath catching as she remembers Tara's voice, low and quick at the coffee shop. They pay big, Tara had said, talking about an auction where girls sell their first time. Chloe had flinched, turned away, but now it's a lifeline. She looks at Ben, his scared face burning into her, and thinks, I've never been kissed, never been held. I wanted that to mean something. But what's it worth? If he's gone? She sits beside him, her voice steady. I'll find the money, Ben, trust me. He grabs her hand. Don't do anything stupid, okay? She smiles faintly, thinking, too late for that. I'm about to trade my innocence for your life. Adam stands, pacing his office, the rain blurring the world outside. He's built this life alone, no family, no cracks for weakness to slip through. I'm untouchable, he thinks, but the word feels like a lie tonight. Ryan's text nags at him, a dare he can't ignore. Why not? He mutters, grabbing his coat. Inside, a quiet voice whispers, You're chasing something you don't understand. What if it finds you? He shakes it off, stepping into the elevator, the hum of it carrying him down to a waiting car. The rain hits his face as he climbs in, a rare sensation against his guarded life. Chloe pulls on her jacket, the fabric rough against her skin. She looks in the mirror, seeing a girl who's fought too long. I'm doing this for you, she whispers to Ben's reflection behind her. Inside, she's pleading, Don't hate me for this. Don't let it change how you see me. She texts Tara, her fingers shaking, and gets an address back, a place downtown. Stay here, she tells Ben, her tone firm. Lock the door. He nods, his voice small. Come back safe. She steps into the rain, the cold biting her skin, her resolve stealing with every wet step. This is love, she thinks. This is what it costs. Adam's car glides through the city, the rain a soft rhythm on the roof. He adjusts his tie, his mind half on the auction, half lost. "What am I even doing?" he says aloud, his voice low in the empty space. "I don't need this," he thinks, "but maybe I need something." The car slows near a plain building, a guard at the door nodding him in. The air inside is warm, heavy with smoke and whispers, a room of masked men waiting for the night to begin. Chloe reaches the building, her shoes soaked, her heart pounding. The guard smirks, but lets her pass when she says Tara's name. She steps in, the heat overwhelming, her presence drawing stares. "I don't belong here," she thinks. "But I'm not here for me." The auction looms, a choice she can't unmake, pulling her toward a man she doesn't yet know. Rain clings to Chloe's jacket as she steps into the basement, the air thick with cigar smoke and the murmur of voices. The room is a hidden world beneath New York's streets, lit by dim chandeliers that cast long shadows across polished tables. Men in dark suits and masks sit scattered around, their eyes glinting with curiosity and something colder. Chloe's stomach twists, her soaked shoes squeaking against the floor. She's never felt so small, so out of place. Her faded clothes a stark contrast to the wealth around her. "I shouldn't be here," she thinks, her heart hammering. "This isn't me." But Ben's face flashes in her mind, his scared whisper echoing, and she straightens her spine. "I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for him." She clenches her fists, forcing her fear into a tight ball she can carry. Adam leans against a wall near the back, his mask a simple black curve over his eyes, his posture relaxed but his mind restless. The room hums with anticipation, a game he's only half interested in playing. "I don't need this," he tells himself, scanning the crowd. "It's just another distraction, another way to kill time." But there's a pull he can't name, a flicker of something alive in his chest. He's 33, a billionaire who's seen every corner of power, yet never this one, this shadowed edge where rules bend. His friend Ryan sits nearby, grinning, whispering about the girls who'll step up tonight. Adam nods, his face blank, but inside he wonders, what am I looking for? What could possibly matter in a place like this? A man in a crisp suit steps to the center, his voice smooth as he announces the auction's start. Chloe's breath catches as Tara nudges her forward, a line of girls forming near a small stage. She's last, her hands trembling as she waits, the weight of her choice pressing down. "I've never been touched," she thinks, her throat tight. "I wanted it to be special, with someone who saw me. Now it's just a price." The first girl steps up, her voice shaky as bids climb, and Chloe's resolve falters. She wants to run, to disappear into the rain, but Ben's life anchors her. "You can do this," Tara whispers, squeezing her arm. Chloe nods, her voice lost, thinking, "I have to. There's no other way." Adam watches the bids with detached interest, the numbers rising like a tide he doesn't care to ride. The girls are young, nervous, their stories hidden behind forced smiles. He feels nothing, his heart a stone, until Chloe steps into the light. She's different, her jacket dripping, her face pale but her eyes fierce, like she's fighting a war no one else can see. Something shifts inside him, a crack in the wall he's built. Who is she, he wonders, leaning forward. She's not like the others. There's a fire in her, a quiet strength that pulls at him. He doesn't understand it, doesn't want to, but his hand twitches, ready to move. The auctioneer calls Chloe's turn, his voice sharp. "Next up, a fresh face. Bidding starts at 5,000. The room stirs, numbers climbing fast, 10,000, 20,000, voices overlapping. Chloe stands still, her gaze fixed on the floor, thinking, this is it. I'm a thing now, not a person. Her chest aches, a hollow space where dreams used to live. Adam watches, his pulse quickening, the bids hitting 30,000. He doesn't know why, doesn't care, but he raises his hand. 50,000, he says, his voice cutting through the noise. The room falls silent, eyes turning to him, but he's looking at her. She's worth more than this, he thinks, the thought startling him. I don't even know her. Chloe's head snaps up, her eyes meeting his across the dim space. 50,000. It's enough, more than enough to save Ben, but the man who bid, masked and tall, unnerves her. What does he want, she wonders, her skin prickling. I'm just a number to him, a prize. The auctioneer bangs a gavel, declaring her sold, and Tara pulls her aside, whispering, "You did it." Chloe nods, numb, as a guard leads her to a side room, a private space with a single table and 2 chairs. She sits, her hands clasped, thinking, "Get it over with. I don't want to feel this." Adam follows, his steps deliberate, the mask hiding his expression, but not the storm inside. Why did I do that? He asks himself, his mind reeling. 50,000 for a girl I don't know? He enters the room, closing the door, and sees her sitting there, small and defiant. She doesn't look at him, her voice cold as she speaks. "Let's make this quick. I don't need talk." He freezes, her words a slap. She thinks I'm here for that, he realizes, a pang of something unfamiliar hitting him. He pulls off his mask, setting it on the table, and sits across from her. "I'm not here to touch you," he says, his tone softer than he meant. "Why are you here?" Chloe blinks, startled, looking up at him. His face is sharp, handsome, but his eyes hold a question, not a demand. "What do you mean?" she asks, her voice shaking. "You bought me." He leans back, studying her. "I bought your time, not you. Tell me why." She hesitates, her guard crumbling, and the truth spills out. "My brother, Ben, he owes $30,000. They'll kill him if I don't pay." Her voice breaks, and she hates it, thinking, "I'm weak now, laid bare to a stranger." But his gaze doesn't mock her. It softens. Adam listens, her words sinking in, a weight he didn't expect. She's not here for greed, he thinks, his chest tightening. She's here for love. He's never known that kind of loyalty, never had anyone to fight for. "You'd do that for him?" he asks, his voice low. She nods, tears brimming. "He's all I have." Silence stretches between them, heavy and real. "I should walk away," Adam tells himself. "This isn't my world," but he can't. "You'll get your money," he says finally, standing. "No strings." She stares, disbelieving. "Why?" she whispers. He pauses, meeting her eyes. "Because I see you," he says, the words slipping out before he can stop them. Chloe's breath catches, his answer a lifeline she didn't expect. "He sees me?" she thinks, her heart stuttering. Not the sale, not the shame, but me? She wants to ask more, but he's already turning away, leaving her with the promise of $50,000 and a confusion she can't shake. Adam steps back into the main room, his mind a tangle. "What am I doing?" he wonders, her fierce eyes burned into him. "She's not just a girl. She's something I didn't know I needed to find." The auction fades behind him, but her voice, her story, cling like the rain on his coat. Chloe sits alone, the guard returning with a slip confirming the payment. $50,000, hers to claim. It's freedom for Ben, but her thoughts linger on the man who walked away. "Because I see you," he'd said, and it echoes inside her. No one's ever seen me before, she thinks, a flicker of warmth breaking through her fear. Two strangers, bound by a single night, have just taken their first step into something neither can name. Something born in the shadows of a rainy city. Chloe sits at the counter of the coffee shop, the notebook Adam gave her opened beside the register, its pages slowly filling with her words. Rain taps the windows, a steady rhythm that matches her heartbeat these days. Weeks have passed since the auction, since Adam started coming by, his presence turning her gray world into something brighter. She glances at Ben, wiping tables with a quiet focus. His debt gone, his smile returning. I saved him, she thinks, her chest warm. $50,000 from a stranger, and now he's not a stranger anymore. Adam's name feels like a secret she carries, his visits a lifeline she didn't know she needed. He sees me, she tells herself, tracing a line in the notebook. Not the girl who sold herself, but the one who dreams. Adam steps out of his penthouse, The city sharp and wet below, his coat pulled tight against the drizzle. He's 33, a billionaire who's always controlled everything, but Chloe's changed that. I'm not the same, he thinks, his steps quick as he heads to his car. She's cracked me open, and I don't know how to close it back. He's been to the coffee shop every day, bringing flowers, books, anything to see her smile. Her words in that notebook haunt him. Stories of a girl who fights, who loves, who feels like him in ways he can't explain. He drives through the rain, his mind on her, whispering to himself, "She's worth it. Whatever this is, she's worth it." Chloe looks up as the door chimes, Adam stepping in, his suit damp but his eyes warm. She smiles, soft and real, and he sits at the counter, coffee already waiting. "You're early," she says, her voice teasing. He shrugs, grinning. "Couldn't wait." She hands him the cup, their fingers brushing, and she thinks, he's here for me. Not the money, not the night, just me. They talk, quiet and easy, about her latest story, about Ben's progress. "He's doing better," she says, pride in her tone. Adam nods, his voice low. "Because of you," she blushes, looking away, but inside she's glowing. "He believes in me," she thinks, "more than I believe in myself." Adam sips his coffee, watching her, the way she moves, the way she fights through every day. She's everything I'm not, he realizes, his heart tight, brave, real, alive. He wants to tell her, to say how she's rewriting him, but his phone buzzes, shattering the moment. It's his mother, Victoria, her name a cold weight on the screen. He ignores it, but it buzzes again, insistent. "Problem?" Chloe asks, her brow creasing. He shakes his head. "Family. They don't get me." She tilts her head, curious. "What don't they get?" He pauses, then says, "This, you, me here." Her eyes soften, and she whispers, "I'm glad you're here." He holds her gaze, thinking, "So am I, more than I've ever been anywhere." Victoria's call lingers in Adam's mind as he leaves the shop, Chloe's smile fading behind him. He drives home, the rain heavier now, and finds Victoria waiting in his penthouse, her Chanel suit pristine, her expression ice. "You've been dodging me," she says, her voice sharp. He shrugs, tossing his coat aside. "Been busy." She steps closer, her eyes narrowing. "With that coffee shop girl? I've heard things, Adam. People talk." He stiffens, thinking, she doesn't know her. She doesn't know me. "It's my life," he says, firm. Victoria laughs, cold. "Your life is this family, this empire. She's nothing, a fling. End it or I'll cut you off." He stares, her words a blade. "Cut me off?" he thinks. "I built this." But doubt creeps in, a whisper asking, what if she's right? Chloe closes the shop that night, Ben waiting outside, his broom propped against the wall. He's been quiet, too quiet, and she frowns. "You okay?" she asks, locking up. He nods, but his eyes dart away. "Yeah, just tired." She pulls him into a hug, thinking, he's safe. That's what matters. But as they walk home, her phone rings, a rough voice on the line. "Your brother's not clear yet," it says, and her blood runs cold. "What?" She chokes out. "Debts paid," the voice snaps. "But he's still in our sights. Better watch him." The call ends, and she grabs Ben's arm. "What's going on?" she demands. He pulls away, muttering, "I don't know, I swear." She thinks, the debt's gone. Adam paid it. Why are they still coming? Adam sits in his office, Victoria's ultimatum echoing. End it or lose everything, he thinks, his jaw tight. I've never had to choose before. Chloe's face flashes in his mind, her voice, her strength, and he knows he can't let her go. But his phone buzzes again, a message from an unknown number. "Your girl's brother's in trouble. Stay away or it gets worse." He stares, his heart sinking. Trouble? He wonders. I paid the debt. What's happening? He calls Chloe, but she doesn't answer, her line dead. Fear grips him, a new feeling, sharp and real. She's in danger because of me, he thinks, standing. I have to fix this. Chloe drags Ben home, her mind racing. She calls the loan shark, her voice shaking. "You got your money, why's my brother still a target?" The man laughs low. "Paid or not, he's ours until we say otherwise." She hangs up, her hands trembling, thinking, Adam lied? No, he wouldn't. But doubt gnaws at her, the $50,000 suddenly a question. She looks at Ben, his face pale, and asks, "Did you do something else?" He shakes his head, desperate. "No, Chloe, I promise." She believes him, but the fear stays. "I trusted Adam," she thinks, tears welling. "Did he leave us half drowned?" Adam drives to the coffee shop, finding it dark. Chloe gone. He calls again, no answer, and panic claws at him. "I paid them," he thinks, his fists clenched. 50,000, more than they asked. Why's this happening? He tracks down Ryan, demanding answers about the auction, the men involved. "They're sharks," Ryan says, shrugging. "Money's not always enough." Adam's stomach drops. She thinks I failed her, he realizes, his chest hollow. I have to find her, tell her the truth. He heads to her building, rain soaking him, his mind a storm of regret. Chloe sits in her apartment, Ben asleep, the notebook open in her lap. She writes, her pen shaking. "I thought he saved us, but maybe he didn't. Maybe I was wrong to hope." She hears a knock, soft but urgent, and opens the door to Adam, drenched and wild-eyed. "Chloe," he says, his voice rough. "I paid them, I swear." She steps back, her heart torn. "Then why's Ben still in danger?" she asks, her voice breaking. He flinches, helpless. "I don't know, but I'll fix it." She shakes her head, tears falling. "You can't fix everything with money." He reaches for her, but she pulls away, thinking, "I let him in, and now we're breaking." Adam stands there, rain dripping, her rejection a knife. "I did this for her," he thinks, his throat tight, "and it's not enough." "I never meant to hurt you," he says, his voice raw. "I saw you, Chloe, and I couldn't walk away." She looks at him, her eyes fierce. "I needed you to be real, not a hero." She closes the door, leaving him in the dark, and he staggers back, thinking, "I've lost her. She's right, I'm not enough." Inside, Chloe sinks to the floor, clutching the notebook, her mind screaming, "He saw me, but he didn't save me. I was a fool to believe." Days pass, Chloe avoiding the shop, Ben staying close, her trust shattered. She writes in the notebook, her words bitter. "Love's a lie when it can't protect you." Then Ben finds a note in his jacket, slipped there by chance, a receipt from the loan shark. Debt cleared, 30,000, paid by A. Hart. She stares, her breath stopping. Adam, she thinks, her heart lurching. He paid it all. The threat was a bluff, a trick she'd misunderstood, pushed him away. "I was wrong," she realizes, tears streaming. "He gave me everything, and I threw it back." Adam sits in a rented room, his empire left behind, Victoria's threat real now. He's lost it all, money, power, Chloe. "I'd do it again," he thinks, his voice breaking in the silence. "For her, I'd lose it all." He doesn't know she's searching, doesn't know the twist that's turned her back to him, two hearts aching in the rain-soaked night. Chloe stands in her apartment, the rain a soft patter against the window, the receipt from the loan shark trembling in her hand. Debt cleared, 30,000, paid by A. Hart. The words blur through her tears, each one a stab of regret. Adam, she thinks, her chest tight. He did it all right from the start, and I pushed him away. She sees his face in that basement, his voice saying, "Because I see you," and the truth crashes over her. He wasn't a hero, wasn't a lie. He was real, more real than anything I've ever known. Ben sleeps on the mattress, safe because of Adam, and she clutches the notebook, her words mocking her doubt. I called it a lie, she thinks, her breath shaky. But it wasn't. It was me who couldn't see. Across New York, Adam sits in a small rented room, the walls bare, the city muffled beyond a cracked window. Rain drips through a leak, pooling on the floor, a stark contrast to the penthouse he's left behind. Victoria cut him off, his empire gone, but it's Chloe's face that haunts him. I lost her, he tells himself, his voice a whisper in the dark. I gave her everything I could, and it wasn't enough. He's 33, a man who had the world now reduced to a suitcase and a coffee-stained shirt. He pulls out a photo he took from his desk, Chloe's handwriting on a napkin from the shop, a note she'd scribbled during a quiet moment. "You're not what I expected," it says, and he smiles, bitter. Neither was I, he thinks. I expected to feel nothing, and now I feel it all. Chloe paces, her mind racing. She has to find him, has to fix this. "Ben," she says, shaking him awake. "I need to go," he blinks, groggy. "Where?" She hesitates, then says, "To make things right." He nods, trusting her, and she grabs her jacket, the notebook tucked inside. "I've been running my whole life," she thinks, stepping into the rain. From hunger, from fear, from hope. Not this time. The city is a maze of wet streets, but she heads to the coffee shop first, hoping he's there. It's dark, empty, and her heart sinks. "Where are you?" she wonders, her shoes splashing through puddles. "I need to tell you, I was wrong." Adam stares at the napkin, his thumb tracing her words. I saw her, he thinks, his throat tight. A girl who'd give everything for someone else, and I couldn't even give her the truth. He'd paid the debt that night, $30,000 wired anonymously, not wanting her to feel owned. But he'd never told her, never explained, and now she's gone. He stands restless and walks to the window. The rain a mirror to his ache. I'd trade it all again, he tells himself. The money, the power, for one more chance to hear her voice. He doesn't know she's out there, searching, her steps closing the gap he thinks is forever. Chloe tries his penthouse next, the doorman shaking his head. "Moved out days ago," he says, and she feels the ground shift. "He's gone?" she thinks, panic rising, "because of me?" She remembers his mother's cold voice on the phone once, a call he'd brushed off, and pieces click. "He chose me over them?" She realizes, her heart pounding. "And I let him go?" She asks the doorman for any clue, and he shrugs. "Heard he's somewhere cheap downtown." It's a thread, thin but enough, and she runs, rain soaking her, thinking, "I won't lose you twice." Adam steps outside, the rain cold against his face, needing air, needing something. He's a shadow now, no empire, no mask, just a man who feels too much. I never told her, he thinks, his steps slow, that she changed me, that she's why I'm here. He heads to a diner nearby, a place he's been hiding, pouring coffee like she used to. It's not his world, but it's closer to hers, and that's all he has left. He sits at the counter, his hands wrapped around a mug, whispering to himself, "I should have fought harder." The door opens and he doesn't look up, lost in her memory. Chloe finds the diner by chance, a hunch after hours of searching, her clothes drenched, her hope fraying. She steps in, scanning the room, and sees him, head down, alone. "Adam," she thinks, her breath catching. "He's here, real, not gone." She walks over, her voice trembling. "Adam?" He looks up, startled, his eyes wide. "Chloe?" he says, standing, coffee forgotten. She holds up the receipt, her tears mixing with rain. "You paid it, all of it. Why didn't you tell me?" He steps closer, his voice rough. "I didn't want you to stay because you owed me. I wanted you to choose me." Chloe's heart breaks open, his words a balm to her guilt. "I chose wrong," she thinks, stepping toward him. "I thought you lied," she says, her voice cracking. "I thought it wasn't real." He shakes his head, desperate. "It was the realest thing I've ever done." She reaches for him, her hand on his arm, and whispers, "I was scared. I didn't see you, not like you saw me." He covers her hand with his eyes locked on hers. "I saw you that night, Chloe. A girl who'd give everything. I've never known anyone like that." She nods, tears falling. "I see you now," she says. "A man who'd lose everything for me." Adam pulls her close, the diner fading, rain drumming outside. "She's here," he thinks, his arms tight around her. "I lost it all and she's still here." "I walked away from them," he says, his voice low. "My mother, the money. I couldn't keep you and that world. She looks up, stunned. You gave it up? He nods, a faint smile. It was never mine. You are... Her breath hitches, thinking. He chose me. Not power, not wealth. Me. She rises on her toes, pressing her lips to his. A kiss soft and fierce, rain dripping from her hair onto his face. He kisses her back, his hands framing her face, whispering, I've never felt this before. Chloe pulls back, her forehead against his, the warmth of him grounding her. I've never felt this either, she thinks, her heart full. Not safety, not love, not like this. I wrote about us, she says, pulling the notebook from her jacket, its pages damp. A story about a girl who sold herself and found something more. He takes it, his fingers brushing hers, and says, Mine's about a man who had nothing until he found her. They laugh, soft and shaky, the weight lifting. What now? She asks, her voice small. He smiles, real and unguarded. We start over, together. They leave the diner, rain falling around them, and walk to his small room, hand in hand. Chloe looks at the bare space, thinking, it's not much, but it's ours. He pulls her close, his voice a promise. I'll pour coffee, you'll write, we'll make it work. She nods, her heart steady. He's enough, she thinks, more than I ever dreamed. Months later, they open a tiny shop, a coffee counter with a shelf of Chloe's stories, self-printed and raw. Ben helps, grinning as kids from the neighborhood stop by, reading for free. You did this, he tells her, proud, and she shakes her head. We did. Adam watches Chloe behind the counter, her smile bright, the rain outside a memory now. She's my world, he thinks, his chest full. I had billions, but she's the fortune I never knew I needed. He joins her, pouring a cup, their hands brushing, and she whispers, You're my story now. He nods, his voice low, and you're mine. They stand together, the shop small but alive, a life built from nothing but love. Chloe writes in the notebook at night, her pen steady, thinking, I sold my innocence for him, but he gave me his heart for me. It's a trade I'd make forever. The rain falls soft outside, the city humming beyond their walls, and Chloe rests her head on Adam's shoulder, the notebook between them. Their story isn't grand, isn't gilded, but it's theirs, born from a night of desperation and woven into something true. Two hearts, once lost, now found, beating as one under New York's endless sky.